Today I'm going to be doing a smoky red eye. It's fairly simple, but it also uses a lot of different techniques and shades. So I'm going to talk you through some of my favorite brushes, the ones that I use when I'm doing kind of a multi-step eye look. And I'm going to use the MAC Art Library in Flame-boyant. It's a really beautiful palette with coordinated warm tones. I'm going to focus on these cranberry shimmers down on the bottom. So let's get started. So I have light foundation and concealer on, but because I'm working with a really colorful eyeshadow, I'm going to start by putting some powder underneath my eyes just to catch any fallout that might happen, and then I will brush that away later. So I'm just going to apply that with kind of a angled, this is called the Detail Angled Blender, but I'm going to use it for under the eyes just to put some loose powder on. Next step is to use a little bit of eyeshadow primer. Normally I do this with my finger, but because I'm gonna go under my eye, I want a little more precision, so I'm gonna apply with this brush. This is a nice tapered, smaller size brush. Let's make it right into the crevices, all over the lid, a little bit up the crease, and then underneath my lash line. So even though I have some primer on my lids, I still want to lay down a neutral color just to make sure that the color I apply after is going to blend a little easier. And this is a larger blending brush. It's still pretty densely packed, so I have a lot of control, but it's a tiny bit fluffy so I can blend the edges. The next thing I need to do is create a transition color in the crease. So that's just going to be a nice mid-tone brown, slightly darker than my skin tone, and I want a fluffy brush for this. This has got a lot more movement than the brushes I've been using, so it's really easy to apply like a light diffusion of color and then blend it in so there's no harsh edges. I feel like Bob Ross right now. Oops, that was the wrong color. It's okay. I'll just add a little to the other side to balance it out. It's slightly brighter, but that's fine. We're about to apply some hardcore red. So now I'm gonna get into my red, and I want, because this has a lot of shimmer and a lot of pigment, I want a densely packed brush that's not gonna send powder flying everywhere. This actually says it's for concealer, but I'm just repurposing it for the eye. I'm gonna tap into the palette and then apply it to my eyelid. I have a very small lid space, so I'm gonna go slightly above my natural crease just to make sure it's visible when my eye is open. I'm going under the lash line too. I got a little color outside the area that I actually want it to be, so I'm just gonna take this really large, this is the Detail Angled Blender, and I'm just gonna blend the edge there before it has a chance to kind of really set into my skin. So red is sort of a tricky color to pull off. It's bringing out some green tones in my brown hazel eyes that I really like, but it's a little, it can wash you out a bit, so I'm going to intensify the lash line with some liner, and this is a cool trick I picked up at the store the other day. I was talking to a beauty stylist at Nordstrom, and they told me that if you don't want to apply with a pencil, you can get even more precision by using a brush. And this is a really tiny pinpoint kind of pencil style brush. You can just rub it onto the liner and then get right into the lash line for a nice, soft, precise application. Tiny little bit of a wing, just a whisper of a wing. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to apply the most metallic shade. This is a deep cranberry, and I'm gonna use this really flat, small shader, and I'm gonna go right on top of that black liner that I laid down and hope that it clings nicely. And it is, that's good. So I want this metallic red to really pop, and I feel like it's not quite there yet, so I'm going to take a little Fix Plus. This is just a mixing medium, and I'm gonna dampen my brush. This is the same brush I used to pack the color on top of the liner, and I'm just gonna run that into the eyeshadow, and then I'm gonna pat this over the lid. Yeah, that's way more intense than everything else. It's creating kind of more of a defined line. I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'm gonna blend the edges. So this one's probably dry now, so I'm gonna go back and just soften the edge with a fluffy brush. So I just curl my lashes, put on some mascara. It's crazy how much better I feel about an eye makeup look when I have those things done. It's just like the last final polish. And I'm removing the loose powder just with any clean brush that you have. Remove the loose powder that you put under. There really wasn't a lot of fallout, but it's nice insurance to know that it's there, because if you get a dot of red and then try to clean it off with bare skin, it can cause a big mess. So just sweeping it off. And I'm gonna highlight the brow bone. There was a nice shade in here that is kind of white and gold. So I'm just gonna use a very flexible, fluffy blending brush, definitely one that's clean, just a tiny, tiny bit. I'm worried that it's a bit strong metallic, so I don't want it to be blinding. Just want a tiny touch of highlight, so just under the brow bone like that. That's nice. It is a little more yellow than I was expecting, but that's why I'm glad I used this brush. It's not applying like a strong amount of it. So I'm pretty happy with how this looks right now. It's nice and smoky and dramatic, but if I want it to be even more dramatic, I can add some black tight lining, which is what I'm gonna do right now. And to make sure that I see what I'm doing, I'm going to use a very fun new toy. It's a smart mirror, so it is magnifying and it just knows that I'm here and turns on. I can turn up the brightness really easily. Touch function, and I could even do like a golden hour setting just by holding it. And so it's nice and warm. The light is totally different. You can really see what your color look is gonna look like in different light settings. So I'm going into the waterline on the bottom, and I'm gonna do the top as well. This is such an easy step, but it adds so much. It sort of creates the look of false lashes, because false lashes have that strip, that solid strip at the base. Just out of curiosity, I want to see what it looks like in the cooler tone. All right, very dramatic. So the tight liner just adds a little bit of definition. It really sets off this dramatic red smoky eye. I hope I made red eyeshadow a little less intimidating and taught you something new about brushes. Just so you know, you don't need to have all of these brushes by your side every time you're doing an eye makeup look, but it really helps when you're working with color, and also to just kind of level up your techniques, and it helps you feel more precise and painterly. So I hope you enjoyed this, and join us next time.